Good morning. It's chaotic. It's Tuesday. I'm going to be streaming shortly. And I had a thought while I was in the shower, and I was like, this is something I need to talk to you guys about because this was actually something that really bothered me quite a bit last week. If you don't know, first of all, hi, my name's Courtney. I'm 38. I was diagnosed autistic at 35. There's a video linked somewhere. Check it out. I have been in a mindfulness clinic alongside cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, before you click away, because I know you're thinking about it, you're like, well, this is just useless. I've tried it. It sucks. It's not geared towards autistic people, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, obviously, I've figured that out myself. No problem. But there is something that I wanted to just okay? Sprinkle some of my magic on. Gratitude as an autistic person. Because this was the punch in the face that I don't think they intended, but definitely the segment did not land, let's just say. So let's just, as we're chatting, I'm gonna just get myself a little bit set up here momentarily. So Mindfulness Clinic has been really interesting so far. I have really enjoyed it, okay? And I have taken a few things away. That said, the last thing that we did last week, we talked about gratitude. And gratitude is something that is a very valuable tool, right? Because the bad things can't exist, in my experience, where there is gratitude. There's not room. There's not room in my brain for gratitude and anxiety, or gratitude and depression, or gratitude and whatever. With a grain of salt, the words coming out of my mouth, always. Okay? This is only my experience. This is not going to necessarily reflect your experience, and that's totally fine. Also, I'm having to do this again, so we're just gonna sit you up just a little bit, okay? I'm just trying to make life easier for myself, okay? They showed us a video, and I'm not gonna go into details. I won't say I reported it, but I will say that I gave very strong feedback. Because, and this is gonna be so controversial, so if you're feeling the need already to get poised over your keyboard or your I need you just to calm down. This is just an opinion. This is just thoughts. If you don't jive with it, if it's not for you, just click away. It's okay. You don't have to make a big deal about it. It's fine. As a disabled person watching this particular video, I already feel guilty. I don't feel a profound sense of gratitude. I have gratitude for things, lots of things. The sun is shining. I'm grateful for that. Am I grateful that I woke up another day in my little autistic hell? Not so much, because it's a matter of time. It's quiet right now. It's also like 8 a.m. right now, okay? The neighbor's children haven't woken up yet. The dogs aren't outside screaming. The garbage truck with his relentless beeping hasn't shown up yet. There's all these things. So, but pinning us against each other and saying, well, you have it so much better than so-and-so, like it really is relative. It really is relative. And I can appreciate that, yes, I am grateful. This is taking such a turn, and I feel like I'm not coming across the way that I'd like to come across. The perspective shift that a lot of these institutions expect us to have, you could take two people from two very different walks of life, and on surface level, you might say, well, this person has it worse off than that person, but that person wasn't abused as a child, or that person, didn't experience these things that you just can't see. I am only speaking from my experience. If you were to bump into me on the street, would you know right away? Would you know? A lot of people on here like to make the comment where they're like, oh, are you really autistic? Who diagnosed you autistic? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well... You don't see these, like, what am I going to do? I'm going to film this for you? Like, I don't feel comfortable filming that kind of stuff. I barely made it through the last time. I was like, oh, I did a video talking about what meltdowns feel like. And so if you want, I'll maybe have that linked somewhere if you want to check that out. But that was as close to like that. I feel like that's as close as you're going to get. So I feel bad that I don't feel grateful for being exactly as I am. Because I was also taught that what I am is wrong. So why would I be grateful? Like growing up, teachers, people in my life, I was taught that it wasn't acceptable. So how can you be grateful for that when that was how you, it's a lot of work. Do you understand? It's a lot of work. And it is not something that it's not a switch I'm going to flip overnight. So my hope, if I can say, what you're going to take from this is that it's okay. You're okay. If you don't feel grateful for every single aspect of what makes you you and everything, I understand. I see it. I see you. I get it. And what I want to say is what we need to do instead to start building that little foundation for ourselves, okay, is to find gratitude in the small things. I don't know why on earth they thought like, okay, let's start with the most profound life or death gratitude moment. Like, what are you doing? And it can't just be me, because I'm not the only person in this group. This is a group thing, and I'm not at liberty to discuss the rest of that. But I'll just say, like, from my perspective, that sucked. I have so many things happening in my life right now that I can't share with you that crush me, break me regularly. And I'm trying to find gratitude in these moments. In these specific moments, they're trying to get you to find, no, this is just my opinion. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a professional in any field. I'm going to tell you what has helped me right now. Are you ready? Okay, get a pen. Replay, mark it down. I don't care, whatever. What has helped me is finding gratitude in very, very small, mundane things. Okay? So say I brewed a perfect tea, right? And I got my honey and my cream ratios and everything right, and it was stellar. Okay? Like, and I sipped on that, and in that moment, there's like, maybe this could count as an autistic glimmer. For me, it kind of is. It tickles my brain, and it's what I say, this is what I mean, is it gives me a feeling, a good feeling. I don't necessarily know if I'd call it joyful, but it's like, it's a positive. It's just something nice that makes me feel like, yeah, okay? And in that moment, I'm choosing now, as part of my kind of homework, to pay additional attention to these moments. So that when I have a meltdown or a shutdown, or somebody misinterprets me for the umpteenth fucking time, and I have to explain myself, or I have a disagreement with somebody because they took what I said, like, good Lord. And I feel just so mad that I am the way that I am because I'm the fucking problem. Don't even. I know I'm not the problem. You know I'm not the problem. You know you're not the problem. It is what plays in here relentlessly because this is what I was told. This formed me. These things, for me, did not outweigh any of the good. Like, it just, maybe it's the kind of person that I am. Maybe it's genetic. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure the autism plays a part in all of this, okay? Rejection-sensitive dysphoria. There's a topic of conversation. Good God. So in those moments when I feel this immense amount of guilt and disappointment in myself that I'm not as grateful as I see some of you guys in my comment section will be, and this is not anything bad. Don't you change a damn thing. This is a me problem, not a you problem. I promise. But you'll say things like, oh, I'm so grateful that I know, and I'm so grateful that I am the way that I am, and then these things, and you'll be very positive, and I'm not even sure, because I don't know how true that is. If you're saying that to try and convince yourself, if you really believe it, if it's, what is it, right? That's all assumptions. I would have to clarify. I'd have to know you. I'd have to get context. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I suck at that kind of thing via written text anyways. So are you being serious? Are you being sarcastic? I don't bloody well know. But finding gratitude in these little things, for me, is so much easier than trying to completely rewire. And I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe some psychologist will pop in and be like, well, that's not how the brain works, whatever. But I'm thinking, if you start small and you start to slowly build up sort of a reflex almost, that's kind of your go-to. So something happened and it brought you a little bit of joy, and instead of dismissing it entirely, you were like, oh, that's a lovely thing. I'm grateful that that thing happened. The first tree that turns, I gotta get water. This is just literacy. This is your sign. Go get hydrated. Okay, let's have some water together. If you haven't had water today, I know it's disgusting, but we're gonna do it. Okay, here we go. But like, for example, the first tree of the season has turned color. It's always the first one. It's always right outside my window. It's red. It's beautiful. And it's changed color. And I could choose to view that as, well, here comes the darkness, the pit of despair. Or I could choose to see that as the incredible, beautiful kind of miracle that it is, where the trees are also showing us the importance of letting go so that new things can take root in its place. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, before I know it, the whole vista outside my window is going to be like yellow and gold and red. And I look forward to that, even though it's fleeting, you know? And so that's something that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that this morning has been, knock on wood, largely quiet. And that's rare at this time of day. And I'm grateful for that. There's things that you can find gratitude in that aren't things that you would necessarily think of as like, well, this is not a profound thing that I have to have gratitude in, and it's not my whole life, it's not my job, it's not, you know what? Because there are going to be a lot of us who are not grateful for that. That sounds really shitty. It does, but you are also not in my shoes, and I am also not in your shoes, and you may feel an immense amount of gratitude for these things that I do not. And that's just okay. That is part of the tapestry that makes us all unique and different experiences. This is a beautiful kaleidoscope of color. I need to start small. And I wonder if that's something that might help you too. I don't know. I don't really like to do, this is not really the thing that I wanted to do, is like make the video where I have the answer. But I did want to also start sharing some of these moments where if I'm experiencing something that I think might be of benefit to somebody, especially because so many of you relate to me for whatever. I don't know, but you guys are out there relating to me, so it's crazy. But maybe if you see some of yourself in me, maybe this is something that might help you. But you gotta start so small. It's got to be so small, like just the littlest things. But you'll start to see them in all of these different places once you start to unravel this thread. Okay, you're gonna start finding, like, for example, I have my child, who we still have not named. We do actually have to name my red panda weighted plush that frickin' breathes from Chonker. We have to do that. We have to do that. But when I look at this beautiful, look at this, when I look at this beautiful friend who brings me a lot of comfort and a lot of joy in a lot of really crazy ways, there's a video. I'm so grateful. This company didn't have to reach out to me, but they did. They saw something in my content, they saw something in me, and they were like, hey, you know what? You might find this helpful. You might find this interesting. Have they reached out to other people? Could I view it, you know, could I spin this negatively if I wanted to? Maybe. But it's not for me. This is a beautiful thing, and it brings me so much joy. And so I think of that. Do you know, my chonker friend here is sitting on my dinosaur blanket. And I'm grateful for my dinosaur blanket, the blanket that keeps me warm when I'm sad and comforts me. And it was gifted to me by a friend. Am I on the verge of tears? Yes, I am, but it's okay. Let the feelings happen. They happen. But that blanket comes from a friend of mine who, thanks to the internet, I mean, I maybe never would have met this person in real life. And she made me this blanket. Like, that's crazy. Or I look up at my collection of D&D books, which I wouldn't have if it wasn't for another dear friend of mine who takes the time to put together packages for me and like, and to understand me and to hang out. So I have gratitude when I look at those, and it isn't necessarily, it's not a material thing. It's a lot of it's like the relationships that you build with people, you know? And like, I've got my figure painting, my minifig, what are they called? Model painting. Jeez Louise. Can you tell it's early? My paints are over there, and I painted like little Harley. She's sitting right here. You can kind of see her in the background. But my husband got me those, and I have gratitude for him for that, for him for believing in me, for these things. But you'll start to find them in it, and for me, you'll notice a trend. It does start typically in a material thing. Now, The water, also, I'm grateful that I live in an area where we have clean water. I mean, I filter it, obviously. I'm not drinking from my tap. That's not a good idea in this area, but we have drinkable water at the ready, okay? You know, I live in a safe, but so it starts to, I live in a safe neighborhood is what I was going to say, and then I cut myself off. Anyways, do you guys do that? Is it just me? I don't know. I do that all the time. In my videos, I notice that I'm like, wow, you get so mad at other people interrupting you and you just interrupt yourself all the time. It's really funny. Anyways, but you see, it starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Did you see how it started from something as small as a plush, as small as a brand reaching out to me, as small as these aren't even small things, like my friend making me this blanket, like this took them many hours, and it's a beautiful blanket and I love it so much, So they're not necessarily small things, but they are small in the sense that it isn't profoundly based on my existence. But if you keep going up the ladder, your existence is at the heart of everything. Because if I didn't exist, so if I wasn't the way that I am, the people I've attracted to my life, do you see? Do you see how it starts to move its way up? I just think, and this is like, again, it's just an opinion, but I do think that starting at a very small level is where it's at. Especially if this is something, if finding gratitude is something that you really struggle with. And listen, there are going to be days where you just can't find the good in a situation. And there are going to be people in your life who are just going to try and shove the good of the situation in your face. And in my experience, it's not worth it to fight these people on this, because they're not in your brain and they can't see, and they have their perspective and they're allowed to. What I would say in those moments is like quiet reflection for yourself. And when I say quiet reflection, this is what I actually mean. I actually mean putting on my noise canceling headphones, full blast, my big feelings playlist, because I made a playlist. That's right. I actually can link that if anybody wants it. Be prepared. It makes me cry and angry and happy and sad. Like we do the whole thing. And I will set up my little trampoline and I will just bounce. Sometimes sitting on my butt, and I'll just bounce, or I'll just jump around, or I'll grab my hula hoop, or I'll move. Usually movement is a key player in helping me move through the negative feelings. And so even if you're just like stimming, just rocking back and forth in your chair, this way, whatever's going to get you just to physically move it out of your system. And music is what really helps me, because I can put on a song or a track or something that's going to get me into that feeling, so I can stay in that feeling, so I can feel it and move it along. And that's kind of how I will help deal with that. Like after we had that session and I sent my feedback email because I was very upset. I wasn't upset, I was just disappointed, because the work that this particular person is doing is really important work and really good work. And mindfulness, I do feel, plays a key part in the autistic experience, but not if it's like, I don't know, because this isn't tailored for autistics, this particular group, but we still exist. And I think that having alternative like access, like views on things or option things. Like they did do one really good thing where I can't mindful eating. Get out of my face. There is nothing mindful about how I eat. I am barely able to function eating food. It is like I have to have Golden Girls on in the background or some other show, and I have to eat it efficiently, and it needs to be in sections and in the texture and the flavor and the texture, underline it. And it is difficult. And then if there's other people and those people are chewing, heaven help me. So mindful eating is not the vibe. But you know what I can do mindfully? I can drink tea. I can drink tea so mindfully. I got you. So, it was really nice. She did adjust it for me so that, so alongside telling the rest of the group what to do with eating, she was like, okay, and then you're going to sip your tea and you're going to, and da-da-da-da, and it was really good. And I've been drinking my tea quite mindfully ever since, so it's been good. It's so frustrating. And it's not something that I love that we have to do, but every bit of advice or every, course or class or this or that or therapy or whatever, I have to do an extra step that like non-autistic people don't necessarily have to do. And that's, I mean, you still need to take what is said and apply it to yourself. This is not a skill I generally have because I take everything so personally, as I can see many of you do when I say things, and if it doesn't land, you take it quite personally. And okay, except that something I really want to learn to do is to take what was said, take what applies, learn from what I don't feel like it, like examine what I don't feel like applies. And if it could be a fit, if it might, if I feel like, if I deem it appropriate, and if I don't, to just leave it. That's going to be another part of this, and hopefully that's something that you could do with this video. If small little mindfulness moments aren't for you, I'm fine, it's okay. Like, you don't need me to tell you that, I hope. But that's okay. It might, if it's not for you, maybe my hope is that it helps unlock something else for you. Like, this is why when I made all these, like, on my Ko-fi, I have a bunch of like resources, like PDF guides and things. And in them, I think I said in like every single one, I tried to make it very clear that this is just a stepping off point, because knowing what doesn't work for you is equally as important as knowing what does work for you, in my very personal opinion. So if you see something or I say something ever and you're like, oh, well, that didn't quite land, or that's not quite for me, I am never going to judge you for that. Like, no harm, no foul, I promise. Like, if I said something and it wasn't for you, that's good that you know that and can recognize that, right? Anyways, so the sun is really shining. I think I'm going to like go for a crazy walk today. I think it's going to happen. But that was just my 2 cents on gratitude. I would really like to pass it off to you though, and just say, like, what is your experience? Have you ever done like a mindfulness clinic, and how did that go? And do you find, like, I want to say, like, do you find mindfulness applies? Because it does apply, I feel like, in different ways to all of our lives. But like, how has gratitude ever helped you in a situation? Do you find it easy to find gratitude in situations? I'm just more or less like, I'm just curious, because I want to see how many of you kind of felt the same way that I did when presented with a scenario where you are suddenly forced to compare your situation to somebody else's and feel less than because you struggle to find gratitude in something that on a visual level does not necessarily. It's just, I felt so shitty after that. I felt so shitty after that class. I'm telling you, oh my God. Oh, it was so bad. I felt so bad about myself. I just felt like you were such a fraud. You were such a loser. Like, why can't you find gratitude? You know, you have so much to be grateful for, and I do. But when you are in the depths of fucking despair and burnout recovery, just the fact that I got up, showered, and put clothes on, that took the majority of my brain capacity, and I still have to live stream for 2 hours, so we're going to see how that goes. And I filmed the video. I probably, likely, usually do crash and burn at about 2 p.m.-ish, and then I'm just a non-functional, and my poor husband gets the frickin' leftovers of whatever crumbling tower that I am over here, do you know? It feels like, you know, but again, you won't see that, because when I cover up the camera, say my goodbyes for the day for this video, you don't see what happens beyond that. So there's so many assumptions and things that are made. Anyways, it was such a rambly one, hey? I'm really sorry. I hope you at least took something from it. If you did, like, let me know. The Discord, did I tell you? Did you see the last video? If you missed the last video, it was a good one. The Discord is live. It is a work in progress. You have to bear with me. Oh my goodness. We've had to make some adjustments already. A few things went sideways, but it's mostly, everything's been like, like, I'm telling you, I know a lot about Discord, but I'm telling you, there were a few, like, I had to add a few extra boards because you guys, and there were a few boards that you guys were like, well, this is stupid, we didn't use this at all, and then I changed the names, and then you guys were like, oh, this is great, so it's a work in progress, okay? Oh my God, I think there's like I don't know, 120 or 140 of you or something. It's over 100 now. People joined, and I can't thank you enough. It was so cool to see, and it's been so fun to just watch the interactions. I've been a little bit shy to jump in. I will eventually get more, but I am there, and I am reading, and I am lurking, and I love you all so much. You guys really have given me a space, and that's more than I ever could have asked for or hoped for. So you want to talk about gratitude? There's some gratitude for you right there. Okay, so pat yourself on the back, because you're just over here watching my content and making my dreams come true. Just, no biggie. Huge biggie. Huge biggie. Okay, that's gonna be it for me today, you guys. There's a fly buzzing around. Did you see that? It's like a little bug. That's gonna be it for me today, you guys. I love you so much. I can't thank you enough for being here on this journey with me. And I look forward to catching you in the next video. Bye for now.